Hey, moms of distracted kids, does your child often say things like, "Oh, I give up. I can't do this. This is too hard. I need your help now." And the most annoying thing about this is that we don't see that the child's putting in effort to even try or find ways to solve the problem on his own, because we know that, hey, it's a problem that is easily solved, or perhaps if he has even done it before, but yet he is just spiraling into this whole like, I can't do it, I'm complaining, the work is so hard, or they spiral straight into a meltdown, which kind of derails them from the task that they're supposed to do, because we have to spend all this time dealing with that meltdown. And I think at the back of our minds is this question, is like, why is my child not resilient? How is he going to survive in the future? And of course, what can we do about it? So at the end of this video, I will explain why our child seems to complain so much and some practical things we can do. Hi, I'm Abigail, and I'm a parent coach for moms with distracted kids. I teach parents 4 C's. Number 1, how to comprehend their child or understand. I wanted to fit into a C, so comprehend. Number 2 is to connect with their distracted child. Number 3 is to curate the environment so that it becomes an indistractable one. Number 4 is how to coach our children so that they become more focused, self-motivated, and self-confident to get their stuff done, and without you hovering, nagging, or yelling at them. So in every video, I endeavor to try to teach you one thing or help you implement one simple action that you can go off and try with your child. So today, I'm going to be telling you 3 practical things you can do to help your distracted child complain less and be more resilient in solving problems. Our distracted kids have underdeveloped prefrontal cortexes, which mean that their self-regulation isn't great. And this means their emotional regulation as well as the regulation of their motivation, and of course, attention as well. And problem-solving skills is one of the highest order thinking skills amongst the executive function, and that demands a lot from people. Even us as highly functioning adults, highly rational, very smart, have a lot of life experience behind us. Even then, we find problem solving difficult, and it involves a lot of mental capacity, involves a lot of mental will and strength to even get down to solving the problem. And even for many of us adults, when faced with a problem that we don't see as urgent or relevant or immediately life-threatening, versus watching TV or watching Netflix or going off and do our own stuff, which would we rather do? Of course, the easier one, right? Problem solving is always difficult and involves lots of mental capacity that sometimes we as overwhelmed adults do not have. And so we kind of shelve those problems aside and we're like, okay, this is not urgent, I'll deal with this later. Same with our kids. Our kids are undergoing their own stresses as well. Of course, as adults, we tend to not see them as stresses, but what I'm telling a lot of the parents or moms who come to me is that, hey, let's reframe this. Let's look at it from the child's perspective, especially when we working parents only see our kids like maybe in the evenings when they come back from primary school, when they come back from after school care. It's a long day for them. They are mentally exhausted. Even they don't seem to be doing very much. But the very fact that their day is so structured by others, that they sometimes can feel very powerless in terms of what they choose to do. In the morning, right at 7:30, they're told like, okay, you have to go for flag raising. You have to do this. You have to study English for half an hour. Bell rings. You got to switch, study Mandarin, study mother tongue. Bell rings. Got to go for recess, half an hour. You only have half an hour to talk to your friends. After that, bell rings. You got to go do your math. Their days are so structured. Every half an hour, they're supposed to be doing something productive, right? Because every subject teacher wants to cover something in the lesson. And then they come back after school. Those of them who are in after school care, they are also given a lot of structure. They have to do their homework. They have to do this and that. They don't have a lot of freedom and choice to choose what they want to do. They don't even have the choice to choose their downtime. When you meet them in the night, they are not refreshed. You are not seeing a child who is well rested, who has his downtime needs met, who has been given the freedom to run around to his heart's desire and expend that energy. No, you are coming back to a child who is very high strung, who is very stressed, who has not had much time to really decompress and to do nothing. And yet at that point, we are expecting them to solve problems. We're expecting them to be resilient. I don't think that's a very realistic expectation. And so part of our solution really is to adjust our expectations and to see that, okay, the child has undergone a very tiring day. And like me, who is mentally exhausted after a day of work, the last thing I want to do is to solve more problems, right? And so if we are expecting our child to be in problem solving mode at that point of time, that is just inviting a meltdown from him. Also, a second thing is that when we are frustrated with a child for reacting to a problem that we see, we are looking at the child's problem from a lens of an adult. We are seeing that, hey, it's a small thing. Come on, like pull up your socks, buck up. It's a small thing. Be stronger, be more resilient, because I've had 40 years of experience solving this small problem, which is maybe something like, I don't want to eat chicken rice for dinner. This is a problem that is so small. I've got bigger problems to deal with. Essentially telling the child, like, don't make a mountain out of a molehill of your very little small problem in comparison to my worldview of what the bigger problem should be: world hunger, world peace, right? So when we think like this, using our 20, 30, 40 years of experience to evaluate that our child's problem is so small and so minute and not worth dealing with. But our child doesn't have this wealth of experience or knowledge to know that this is a small problem. To him, this is my problem. It is really huge and it is really overwhelming for me. I don't have the mental capacity to solve it. And I don't have that mental strength or willpower to overcome this problem right now. All I'm doing is I'm reacting to this problem that I'm seeing and I'm just melting down. So step number one in trying to build a resilient child is first to calm him down. The child needs to learn how to regulate his emotion. And we are not here to say, no, stuff that feeling down your throat, it's not worth getting upset over. It's not worth getting angry or overwhelmed, be stronger. No, that's not how we deal with it. We want to acknowledge and validate all their feelings, because that's the only way is to help them get through those feelings, not suppress them, not bury them, not discount them, not distract them. Because we want to be able to develop children who are emotionally strong. And the first step is to let those feelings come up. Let them have time to process them. Let them have time to acknowledge. Let them have time to understand and label those feelings and write those feelings out. Only when they do that, then they realize, like, okay, this is a bad feeling. I don't like it. It's very uncomfortable, but I'm going to sit through it. I can sit through it, and these feelings will pass. Then after that, I can calm down and I can think and process what those feelings mean for me. Why were they bubbling up? What is that underlying deeper reason that caused me to have these uncomfortable feelings in the first place? And then I can deal with the root issue. And isn't that what we want for our kids to be able to do? To be resilient, right? Is for them to be able to overcome or go through despite these feelings, to deal with these feelings in a healthy manner, not suppress them and not shove them aside, but to really deal with them in a healthy manner so that they do not become buried all the way, and then they implode one day when the child cannot suppress those feelings anymore. So what we definitely need to do, again, is to validate our child's feelings by telling him, yes, I agree, it's hard. I know this seems to be a very big problem for you. I know it's uncomfortable and you're overwhelmed. It's okay. I'm here with you. You can cry it out. You can shout into your pillow. You can squeeze a stress ball. Okay, let's release those feelings in a healthy manner. We can sit through these uncomfortable feelings and write it out. I'm here with you. Then once his feelings are under control and he has kind of calmed down a bit, number two is that we give the child options. At this point in time, maybe your child doesn't have all that life experience, or he hasn't encountered that same situation again and again until he has an automatic drop-down menu of the things that he can do to solve the problem, because he has had past successes that he can rely on or draw from those experiences to deal with that current problem. So we need to start giving him options. Okay, now, do you want to do A or B? So like my child, this happens a lot because he always has a meltdown when he has to copy a wall of text from a model composition that the teacher gives him. So this whole term, his weighted assessment is on English and Mandarin composition. It's a really, really tough term for us because my child hates writing. And yet during lessons, he's forced to write compositions. And then, of course, he doesn't write really well because he already hates them, doesn't do very well in them. And then he comes back with drafts and drafts that he has to do. So he has to do like a draft 2 of the composition corrections that he has just done, and then he has to copy students' composition, a model essay. So it's a lot of copying, a lot of writing for both languages. So he's like kind of at his limits of like, I have enough of composition. And so it's been really hard when he comes back with these assignments. He has to do them. I have to avail myself to really, really help him with them because it's so hard for him. And he's often melting down even before he starts copying one line because he sees this wall of text and his brain is just in overwhelm mode. He just cannot deal with the fact that he has to copy for 1 or 2 hours. And it's a long time for a boy who is used to doing very, very little work in 15 to 20 minutes spurts. So copying for an hour and a half is really daunting for him. So this is our struggle. This is the experience that I'm using to help him build resilience. So we give him the options like, do you want to write 1 paragraph and then go take a water break and then you come back? Or do you want to write 2 paragraphs and then take a longer break and you finish off the other 2? So both options will be fine by me. I don't really care whether he writes 1 paragraph or 2 paragraphs, but as long as he's writing, right? That's what we want. So step 2 is to give him options. Now step 3 is really important. We need to leave. We need to leave him physically and let him handle it on his own. So we know what our child can do. We know what our child needs help with and then what he can handle. So we need to help him to get started because starting is always the hardest. And once we see him getting started, getting moving, then we leave him to do the rest of his work on his own. Yeah, by all means, we have to check in periodically with the child. But I would say 50% of the time, 60% of the time, and then we aim for even longer, we have to be away from the child. We don't want the child to be relying on us, to be sitting next to him so that he can only write if you are there with him. Why do we want to do that? We need our child to have that positive experience that no matter how hard it was, he did it. He finished the work. No matter how many times he got distracted, he came back, he still managed to do it at the end of the day so that the next time the same thing happens, and it will happen, especially for like composition writing, I can always tell him, hey, you know, the last time you took 3 hours to copy that model essay, but you did it. You did it on your own. Mommy just needed to come in and check on you now and again, but you did it now. That means that you can do it. Now, can we challenge ourselves? The last time we took 3 hours, how about this time we try to finish it within 2 hours? That may mean that you get distracted less, play less with your fidget toy, and do more writing so that you can go off and play your computer games after you finish your composition. And part of this process of leaving is to be okay and reframe what that end outcome that we expected. So for example, when I left him to do his work, I was prepared that he would, number 1, miss his screen time. He may have a meltdown then, because he realizes he's run out of time and it's time for dinner, so he doesn't get any screen time. Or number 2 is he doesn't even finish the work at all, and then he may go to school and then get scolded by the teacher again. And I'm okay with all these consequences because at the end of the day, whatever the consequences he suffers, we deal with those, and then he has to still come back and finish the composition on his own. Of course, I got to get him started again, get him to sit down, get him started, and then he finish it on his own. No matter how long, no matter what the consequences are or the meltdowns or the punishments he gets, he still has to come back to it and finish it. And that's the lesson we want to teach our child and hold our child accountable to, that he has to finish it no matter what difficulties he meets along the way. We will get him to finish that assignment. And then we can come back and say like, hey, you know, no matter how hard it was, you did it. Okay, so the 3 steps. Number 1 is to get the child to calm down. That's our first priority. No matter how triggered we feel, let's just try to set that aside. Let's calm him down. Number 2 is to offer him options. Number 3 is to get him started, then we leave so that he can figure things out on his own, that he can explore the solutions on his own before you come back and help him again. And maybe my parting note to all of us, and this is something I've been thinking about as well, is to reframe the meltdown. Maybe we think that, wow, you know, once the child is meltdown, it means he's not resilient. Actually, that's not true, right? That's a misconception. In fact, when our child has that meltdown, it's part of his coping mechanism. We may be very uncomfortable with it because of our own upbringing, but it doesn't mean that the child is not resilient. And many times when we think about it, when we meet with a really, really big problem, at least my response is to shut down for a while. I may not be melting down in public because I've been brought up that's not an acceptable way to release my emotion, but I've definitely learned that I needed time to go away in my room. I need to shut myself down. I may need to cry. I may need to journal. I may need to process those feelings in a very private way before I'm ready to think about the solutions. And for my child, that private dealing with emotions is not available to him yet. For many of our children, the release of emotion is very immediate, it's very raw, and it just comes out and explodes outwardly, which may not be a bad thing, so that they do not bottle things up inside. I think maybe in the long run, you know, it'll be even more troubling for us if we see a child who is used to bottling things up and suppressing everything down and not dealing with that emotion in the present moment, because it means that it's going to fester inside and manifest some other way in the future. So maybe we can think about the meltdown as part of that process to building resilience. He needs to let that emotion out, then process it, and then stick with the problem. Because if he continues sticking with the problem, that's being part of being resilient, right? So yeah, there's something to think about. Maybe our children are resilient. In fact, our distracted children are very resilient. No matter how many times they get scolded, no matter how many times the teachers put them down, no matter how many times we parents, say things consciously or unconsciously to put them down, they bounce back up. And they tend to forget all the negative criticisms, and they still bounce back up, and they still try again, and then make mistakes, and then they try again. And isn't that what we really want for our children? That they are already resilient, and now we are only helping them to deal with their emotions in a maybe more controlled manner, or maybe it's a more socially acceptable manner. I'm not sure what you take of that term. Maybe you're okay with your child screaming in public, and you're perfectly secure in the knowledge, in the fact that you are helping your child release his emotions. Maybe other parents are not going to see you in a very positive light, but what the heck, that's okay. As long as my child is not hurting anyone and he's not, I don't know, spewing vulgarities or shouting at people in a very aggressive manner, he's just releasing emotions on his own, maybe that's okay with you. And I think that's perfectly fine. So I think out of that 3 steps, the most difficult one is number 1. That is the being calm, or helping our child calm down, because that requires us to be calm so that we don't co-escalate with the child into a shouting match. And so our key is to really stay calm on our own. And this is so hard, but I'm going to be doing another video on that, so stay tuned. So keep a lookout for that. I'm going to be doing another video on identifying our own triggers so that we can deal with them. So keep a lookout for that. If you want to find out more how to coach your distracted child in developing skills like emotional regulation skills, to be more resilient, to manage his motivation, or to manage his attention, I invite you to join our waitlist for Freedom Fam, which is a membership that helps parents with distracted kids become the coach that their child needs to help them develop these skills at home. So you can come join the Freedom Fam waitlist, and when doors open, we'll let you know and give you more details. And as always, I invite your comments, your thoughts. I'd love to engage you on a discussion on what we've just spoken about today in the video. Come connect with me on DM and on Instagram, or leave a comment below. And I'll see you soon. Bye.